What do you mean I don't sweep you off your feet anymore? Does that mean the honeymoon phase is over?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What's up, guys? My name's Jeff. That's my wife. We are going to talk about what to do after the honeymoon phase is over. We'll be right back.
What year is it again?
All of that really is my wife.
Should I leave?
And we're going to roll an intro I haven't made yet, but hopefully it looks good.
Your voice changes when you do that.
Still married, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Love is a choice. Navigating a relationship after the honeymoon phase is over. That is the challenge today. But what's the question?
Ooh. If you had to choose between losing your sense of sight, hearing, or taste, which do you think you could live without?
Taste.
Really?
Yeah. You're so pretty. I would never want to not be able
Aww. I know. I wasn't going to do it. That's an inside joke. Forms of endearment. We often go, aw.
see you. Yes.
Anyways, I don't know. I think taste too, because
I also play drums.
I know.
So I need to hear. We sing a lot.
We do.
So we also need to hear.
Yeah, that would be really rough. I don't think I could go without hearing. And I know that there's others, but I think that do go without hearing and do just fine. I just I don't know if I had to choose. Mm-hmm. All of those are hard. So I don't like that question.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
What?
You don't like that question.
I don't. Anyways, continue.
So yeah. Navigating relationships after the honeymoon phase is challenging.
It is. When you don't, I feel like there's a viral thing going on right now where it's like, I don't give my husband butterflies anymore, but I do give him high blood pressure.
When she carries the ladder across the house because the thing she asked you to do twice in the last 6 months, you didn't bother to do.
Yeah. No, but I do think that I hate the phrase the honeymoon period because for me it's almost like you're insinuating that your love has an expiration.
Sure.
I don't think we've ever talked about that. I hate the honeymoon phase
No.
as a terminology because it's almost like you come off this high of being young and in love and, the butterflies and the sugar and rainbows, and then you set into the next phase of your life where it's like you've settled and almost like that Humpty Dumpty ho hum, like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, that makes sense. So, yeah, that's a whole different thought of, I've not thought about like the honeymoon phase. I was just like, is that when you have your first argument or
Yeah.
like, but I'm with you. Like, does that mean you've settled? But like, so how do you battle that then? Which is kind of what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
like, cause there are some days like on like lazy Saturdays or
Yeah.
like when we're both home, like maybe our honeymoon phase isn't over and it's been 18 years and I don't know but we try and we focus on this. Like, yeah, there's still, and maybe it's the idea of like when you're newlywed and you're in love and you have no idea what you're in love and you have no idea what you're doing and you don't know which way is up. There's nothing to be grumpy about.
Yeah.
And maybe there is, right?
Yeah. And I almost wonder, and we have also approached our marriage of being in love is a choice. And I feel like a lot of people that are talking about the honeymoon period, they're talking about they're falling out of that lustful period of that relationship. Because like when you first meet a person,
Oh, I
you're gonna,
definitely lost that.
but gee, we're trying. Oh my goodness. We're never going to make it through this.
I don't know what we're going to talk about now because that
I
is
know.
a interesting. Like I had not thought about the whole like not liking the whole phrase honeymoon because it implies that the love is over
Exactly.
and it's not. Or
But
shouldn't be anyway.
But I mean, realistically, I think that's probably what has helped us so much in our marriage is like, yes, there's that yearning, if you will, because I like when I think of love versus lust, lust is fleeting, and lust is that spark that comes upon initial meeting, and then it's almost like that. Oh gosh, how do I describe this? It's that one hit wonder. It's that, oh, that song was really good, versus love is you really like the artist's entire portfolio or all of their songs. Like it, no matter what they come out with, it doesn't matter. Like you love listening to that artist, versus lust is that one hit wonder. Like that one song was really good. The rest of the album is just kind of meh.
Sure.
And so when you think about love being a choice, like you're choosing to invest in it, and you're choosing that person every day, even though they forgot to take the trash out last night, or maybe they forgot to do the dishes. Maybe it's irritating in the moment, but it's bigger than that. And that's kind of where the name comes from, is at the end of the day, even if you don't do fill in the blank, I still love you.
Yes.
I may not like you, but I still love you. Versus that honeymoon period, that lust is if you don't do the dishes, that's just a check against you. And so it's almost like an hourglass.
Okay.
The once you flip it over, the sands of time are fleeting, and it's only a matter of time before that love falls out, and you're no longer attracted to that person, and breathing in your space is just irritating. And so that's why I hate that terminology is.
Sure. And that makes sense.
So I think I blew all of your research out of.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
For context, I have no idea what we're talking about most of the time.
Yeah.
He does the research and the statistics, and he just picks my brain.
Sure. But I'm with you. That all makes sense.
But
So how do we fight that though?
you have to choose love daily. And so,
Well,
realistically,
I wrote that down.
good. But I do feel like when you talk about love, and yes, it's an emotion, and it's a very strong emotion, but there's also logic to it. Like when you think about when you are choosing your partner, if there are things that are deal breakers, right? Like if you were maybe a drug user, or if you were
Iced tea right here.
I know. It's the hard stuff. I'm trying to think of what a deal breaker would be for me. If you didn't love kids. Now, I know our kids are weirdos, but realistically, like if you couldn't stand kids and didn't want to have a family, that would be a deal breaker for me.
Sure.
No matter how much I loved you, and I might have held on for a couple of years.
For the record, wanting 11 kids is also a deal breaker.
This is true. But like, and there's always that difference of infertility. Like if we couldn't have had kids, that's fine.
Sure.
But like there are some people, and not a knock on people that don't want kids, but for me that would have been a deal breaker. Because realistically, we need aunties just as much as mommy and daddies. Like this is a thing.
Yes.
And so, like, for me, that would have been a deal breaker. And I have many friends that, like, if their significant other didn't have a job, that would have been a deal breaker. Or, there's just certain things that are those deal breakers. But if you are allowing yourself to stay in a relationship and truly fall in love with someone, and there's that red flag, that deal breaker on the table, it's gonna come up when that lust runs out and you're basing that relationship on lust rather than building that foundation of love. Because realistically, like, when you think about your life together, it's a bunch of small experiences. And so if you're building that on not shared views, and I think about some people who are potentially in, like, domestic violence situations where the one person, because it is both-sided, the one person is love bombing and making that person fall in love with them, and then they start pulling away. They're not building that foundation on mutual views. And so that relationship is always going to be doomed to fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're thinking really hard. I'm sorry.
No, I just, like, we have, friends and relationships we know, and I'm just like, oh, maybe we are still in the honeymoon phase.
The reason I don't think we are is when I think about the honeymoon phase, it's where you haven't been able to strip away the outer shell and reveal who you truly are. Because if you think about it, when you're dating, you're not showing them all of you. It takes some time. You're going to have those shared experiences, but you're peeling away those layers. And realistically, like, I didn't know all of you until we moved in after we were married. And I saw the messy side of you. And you saw the messy, not actually. But, when you see that person first thing in the morning breath, hair standing up on end.
I thought you meant the fact that I probably hadn't cleaned my apartment in ever.
I wasn't going to bring that up. But realistically,
yes.
like, you see the other side of that person in marriage. And I do feel like you have accepted me for who I am, where I'm at. And, like, there are some days where I look at myself in the mirror and I don't like what I see, but yet you see the imperfections and you love me in spite of that. And I think that's the difference between the honeymoon phase and not. And I don't think we're in that honeymoon. And I don't know that we've ever really truly been in a honeymoon phase, but I do think it's always been love for us because what?
I was just like, I don't know. Trying to get the cars to start in Gallup, New Mexico, when it was 7 degrees outside, the second morning we were ever married. I thought our honeymoon phase was over then.
Facts.
So, fun story about us. We got married, and then the next day drove separately across the country with everything she owned, because I already lived across the country.
Yeah. Fun times.
Good times. Yeah. We got some flat tires. We got pulled over.
Uh-huh.
We got stuck in Gallup because the car wouldn't start.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. So we spent our whole last 2 episodes talking about love as a choice and why choosing love is important. Mm-hmm. So navigating relationships after the honeymoon phase has ended. Or, as I would describe it, the initial excitement has faded away.
Yes.
With the right tools, you can still be excited to be married so many years later.
Yeah. When the newness of the shiny has rubbed off on the new toy, is it still valuable to you?
Sure. And so some of the challenges that happen along the way are communication breakdowns, lack of intimacy, conflicts over household responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And those can all be difficult, but they're not things that can't be overcome, right? All of these things can be overcome. We have a whole year's worth of episodes talking about a lot of that stuff, and some of it we're going to talk about. But how do we overcome those challenges? Being intentional
Yes.
with words and actions, healthy boundaries, healthy boundaries, healthy boundaries.
Right.
You have to decide what healthy boundaries are, right? The one that popped into my head is we don't share the bathroom when the other one's going potty.
Yep.
That's a healthy boundary for us. Some people don't care. You guys have to describe it. I don't care. You do.
Yes.
So I don't go in the bathroom. I
know it's weird.
I shared a room with 184 other people on deployment.
And I didn't. Care. I know.
Anyway, healthy boundaries, empathy and understanding, some of the things that will help overcome those challenges.
Yeah.
Good.
And I will say, like, some of us, this is more a female thing, but it doesn't matter because everybody does it. If you find yourself getting super emotional about a topic, sometimes it helps to write down a list of what you want to talk about beforehand, so that you can remove, and I don't want to say remove emotion as if you are going into the conversation as a robot, but I mean remove the emotion from, and try and think of it as logically as possible, because your spouse may not know how you're feeling, and most likely does not know how you're feeling if you're going to have this open conversation. And, the more that you can speak to them on a logical level, the more that you're going to be able to help them to understand where you're coming from.
Sure.
And, I know that for me, when I get all up in my emotions, I don't communicate very clearly. And so sometimes I'll make a list in my phone or on a piece of paper or something like this. I don't think you've ever seen the list, but putting my thoughts into a format that I can speak through. And it helps me to gather thoughts. And sometimes also it will help you to eliminate, putting this down on paper or really thinking through this. Maybe I am being the emotional one, and maybe this is not as big of a deal as it feels like in the moment because I'm all up in my feelings. And so that, for the emotional friends out there, that's definitely something that helps me, is really just thinking through the problem from the logical point of view rather than how it makes me feel. And so for me, that helps me also to work through some of my feelings.
I like it. So, practical things to overcome some of the challenges are prioritizing time together, date days, having your toes touch when you're sitting on the couch. Find a hobby or something you can do together that you both genuinely enjoy doing together, right? I like to mountain bike and work on cars. You make things with a Cricut.
Yep.
Those are not hobbies we enjoy doing together. Now, I help, and you will go on a bike ride if we ask you to. But
yes,
we like road trips and cruises of
we like exploring
5 to 14 days.
Yes. I just lost my thought.
Being intentional with words and actions. This is an important one. Practicing self-care.
Yes.
And then seek outside support when necessary. Yeah.
There was something else. Man, I lost it. I've been getting over this nasty cough for like 5 ever. And it totally just rebooted my brain.
All right. Love is not just a feeling. It is a choice that we make every day. By choosing to love someone actively, you can build a strong foundation for your relationship that will withstand the challenges that arise after the shininess has worn off. Yeah.
I got it. Communicate your expectations.
Yes.
So, this is going to sound really stupid, but realistically, like, I love Christmas. Okay.
I do not.
You do not, and that's okay. You pull down the decorations and then you disappear for a couple hours and let me do my thing, which I love. Is fine. But one thing that really bugged me for a couple of years was the stocking. And men, if you do not stuff your wife's stocking, God, why'd you got to go there?
We did all.
You should be. Apparently on both ends of that. So, but realistically, like, oh my, we need to keep the PG or the G rating. Well, I guess it's PG for
family
suggestive.
friendly.
Whatever.
We have a whole show on this.
I understand, but I had to communicate to you that I expected you to put stuff in my stocking because for several years you didn't. And it became an expectation, but if you want the big grandiose gesture on Valentine's Day, if you want the big grandiose, like, flowers and chocolate on Mother's Day or whatever, you need to communicate that to your spouse because your spouse is not a mind reader.
No, not at all.
I'm afraid that if I say some of these things that are going through my head, you're going to spit tea all over me. Because I say some random stuff and I don't know how you're going to react half the time.
No, but I like that. Communicating your expectations. And I don't want to say expectations like speak it and then it's going to happen.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Express your desires.
Ooh, okay.
Because the reality might look different.
Oh, 100%.
Right? I still have no idea what to put in a stocking. So for the last 2 years, you've gotten your favorite candy, makeup wipes, and whatever random stuff that me and the kids could find that we know you like.
Right.
And then I ended up with an entire bag of candles and sugar scrub because I didn't know what to put in there.
It was glorious. But, I mean, realistically, you can't go wrong with self-care.
Yes, self-care is fine. But if you communicate the expectation that you're going to go out to, a Michelin star restaurant for Valentine's Day, followed by, 5 nights at the Marriott, and you're both making minimum wage,
that's not going to happen.
Desire and expectation are two drastically different things.
This is true.
You want to be swept off your feet, but there's not a significant financial investment in the process.
This is true.
Because that's why I was like, I don't know about expectation, because some of us have really expensive expectations, and the reality is we just can't do it, and that can turn into, well, I told you I wanted this, and you didn't do it. Now I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
Or
no, and I like that point out because I have very simple taste, and I'm cheap. Oh my gosh, I'm so cheap, and I forget that other people want those grand things, and I just really don't care as long as the hotel room is clean. That's kind of my thought process. But that's true because I'm just as satisfied, being at home and you making me a steak on the grill as going out to the local steakhouse.
And that's the kind of things but I think we can still have expectations and maybe separate them. Like, we have an expectation that our phones aren't out on date day.
Yes.
That's fine. That's not a...
Yeah.
But, telling me you want to spend 5 nights in Times Square on our anniversary all the time is a little desire versus expectation. And that's what I mean by that.
No, and that's fair. Because I do think when I say expectation, I mean, if I expect to have some sort of recognition on Mother's Day, I don't desire or I don't need you to take me out to dinner. I don't need the flowers. I like flowers, but hello.
Those aren't even real.
They don't need to know that.
There's marbles in the bottom.
Okay.
For the record, the candles aren't real either. Is
I have
any of this
children.
real?
No, but you did buy me real flowers. They're just
They're
over there.
And over there. Oh, I didn't buy those. Are those real? The ones by the bananas.
No.
Oh, neither set of those is real.
No. I do like fake flowers because I can get the ones that I want. But anyways, I would love to get flowers every day. That's not realistic because you don't go to the store every day. But
they're also expensive.
they are. They really, really are. You can go to your local craft store, especially after major holidays. I got these for like 50 cents a piece, which makes them even more special because they were $5 originally. So clearance. But I expect to have on my birthday some acknowledgement. And you do a really good job of making sure that you get me a card or something like that. And like for Christmas, as an example, I have always gotten the kids the gifts and done most of the bulk of the shopping and making sure that a lot of the acknowledgements happened, whether they're for your staff or whatever, making sure that everybody had their stuff taken care of. My only expectation was that you were to get a gift for me. And sometimes that involved because my children are our children. They're not just mine.
I was there.
Yep, you were there. But the expectation is you might have to take them out shopping because my family sometimes will take them out and do all of the things. I hope you all have a wonderful village as mine, but I understand that's not a thing. But understanding that I expect that you're going to give me a gift in return. I'm taking care of all of this. This is your small piece. Or on vacation, like I expect that you're going to drive and do certain things, and you can expect that I'm going to do certain things in return. So understanding that those things may look different.
Yeah.
But understanding that it's expectations versus desires is very different.
Yep.
So good shout out.
I'm with you.
That's good because I totally went on a tirade there.
It happens. All right. Love is not just a feeling. It is a choice we make every day. Choosing to love somebody actively will help you overcome the shininess being lost after the honeymoon phase. And having a strong foundation will help you do all of that. So, go love your spouse. If you need help, go find help. We are not it. If you need a therapist, there are plenty, hopefully, in your area that you can go get help from. We are just trying to take a fun look at some of our issues and struggles that we've had or heard about or watched, because we watched some people just dumpster fire.
Yep. We love them as people, but
anyway, we will see you next time. Like, subscribe, follow us. Let us know what you want to talk about at My Wife Still Likes Me, mywifestilllikesme.com, and we will see you later. Bye.